walked out with a joyful grin. Ego knit, our hearts unite. Founders of love shining bright. We're Team Weird, and that's alright. Peculiar souls dancing in his light. In
Grandma, got questions for you.
Yeah.
Because it's your birthday, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And I love you. But I want to
you.
know more. I want to know everything.
I love you too.
I want to know everything about my grandma.
I don't know what you're saying with your mouth full.
Sorry. I want to know everything about my grandma.
What do you want to know?
Okay.
Ask me.
What are life goals that you had since you were young, and have you achieved them?
Brought up in a very Catholic atmosphere. All we did was the church, the nuns, the church, the nuns. The whole area where I lived in Liverpool, where the Beatles lived also, are Irish Catholics. So my family are from Ireland, from County Wexford, my grandparents. And in the potato famine, the English owned everything over there, so they let people die in their homes. And my great-grandmother, who John's got a photograph of, came over to England, and their family, you know, they became Liverpudlians, if you like.
Liverpudlians?
Yeah,
You make that up?
No, I'm a Liverpudlian. And as I said, the whole family was church and home, very much family. We'd all be together at the weekend, my grandparents, and we'd be going to church in the morning, and benediction in the evening.
What's benediction?
And then I became a prefect at school. And once you become a prefect, you can go to the convent every Sunday for lunch.
What's a prefect?
A prefect at school.
What's a prefect? We don't have
You have
prefects.
prefects at school.
No.
Oh, yes, you do.
What
When
is
you're
it?
16 and 17, you're made a prefect, and then you're in charge of the class when the teacher goes out and all that sort
Like
of
a
stuff.
class captain.
Well, it's not called that, it's called a prefect.
Yeah, but you proper English. We're Australian English. Shall we label it something else?
Okay, so then that allows me to go to the convent for lunch on Sunday, or for morning tea or afternoon tea, which is absolutely the best thing could happen to you. So I thought I was going to be a nun. So I got there and I was so happy with all the nuns. They're so lovely in the convent. They make a fuss of you and all the rest of it. So I decided at 16 I was going to be a nun. And then I started going dancing. And that's what Liverpool people do a lot of, dancing. Because you've got lots of ballrooms. And I used to go every weekend. Sometimes during the week I'd go ballroom dancing. And that took over. So I wasn't any longer going to be a nun.
You're going to be a dancer.
But
You were going to be a dancer instead.
it was going to be just an ordinary person. I wasn't going to be the nun that I thought I was going to be.
Do you regret that?
No,
No.
not at all. And I don't regret anything. I did what I did at the time because I thought it was right.
Yeah.
And every job I ever had, I was good at because I loved it. I always put my heart and soul into everything I did. And if you do that, you're usually successful. You make a go of it and people are happy with you. So I went to work I was going to be a nurse. I was determined I was going to be a nurse when I couldn't be a nun. And this girlfriend, this is one thing I do regret. She was going to work with vehicles as a clerk in the roads. So I went to work at Vernon's Pools.
What's that?
You know the pools where you bet on who's going to win, footy and everything.
Oh, okay.
Very huge concern. So I worked there, and then I had at 17, I had a terrible accident. This is why I've got a bad eye and a bad ear.
Hold on, never told me this. What happened? What accident?
What happened? Well, with my girlfriend, we were walking down the lane. It was in West Derby, beautiful area, very countrified. And we were going home from work, and we walked down the lane, and we walked around to get the bus, and the sports car with the doctor driving it, he was in the RAF, he was on leave, came along at a tremendous speed. I don't remember this is what I was told, and threw us both in the air. And I landed on that side of my head, and my head was up like that. And I had all stones in my face and under my skin. And I was unconscious for 3 days, and they didn't think I could come out of it. So Mum got the priest, and the priest is standing next to me, giving me the last sacraments, and Mum's kneeling up in front of me. I was in bed in the hospital. And the priest gave me the last sacrament, and I opened my eyes. And of course Joanna straight away said, "This is God working," which it was. So he wanted me to live, but I had all these stones in my skin, and they never ever thought that it'd come good again, but it did. And it broke my
I didn't know that you were a miracle. How old were you?
17 then.
17.
And it broke my two front teeth. So I
Giving
had
me
a-
goosebumps, Grandmama. You've
I
been
had
a
to-
miracle since forever.
I was a miracle. They said she wouldn't live. I was 3 days unconscious.
Yeah, back then with a head injury, that's.
Well,
Yeah.
my forehead was out here somewhere, and the hair never grew out on that side properly again. And now I've got this. I've lost the sight. This eye, I'm losing the hearing. I've lost the hearing in this ear. And I told the doctor this story, and I said, "Could that have affected it?" He said it could have damaged a nerve,
And
and that's why that side's gone dead. So it's too late to do anything about that now. But this guy who was driving the sports car was a doctor, and apparently I had a clot of blood in my throat, and he put his hand down and got it out. So he nearly killed me, but he saved my life at the same time. But the girl that was with me, my girlfriend, smashed her leg to pieces, and she had to have a false leg stump with a big bruise on the end.
That's not good.
And
So,
she-
but you wanted to be a nurse
Yes.
and a nun, and then you ended up being.
And then
Well, you don't really have a profession, Grandma. You've just done everything and done it well. From looking after kids to
when I-
building caravan parks.
But you missed something here. Let me finish. When I got out of hospital and I got better, Mum didn't go to work for a long time. She stayed home with me. And then I went to work in the dressmakers. So that's why I was dressmaking, you see. Making clothes and things for people.
That's why you always look beautiful.
Yeah. And from there, I came to Australia. Oh no, I went to work in what was it called? British Electrics. That's where I met John's father. He was there.
But you, profession-wise, you haven't had one profession. You've done a lot of things well.
I've done a lot of things. And from there,
And which was
came
your
to
favourite?
Australia, and I worked in Brighton. And from Brighton, I used to leave John at the nursery, and he used to stand. I used to drop him off and walk away, and I'd look back, and there were two big gates, and he'd stand there looking through the gates, and the tears would be rolling down his eyes, and he'd never make a sound, not a sound. And I thought, I can't go on leaving him like this. So I went into the city and did an exam for
Nursery.
what is it? No, I'll tell you in a minute. asking me. For Tasmania, working in the casino.
Ah.
And I passed that, but I would have had to put John in boarding school. And I said, I can't do that too. I can't put him in boarding school. I've taken him away from his father, but I can't put him in boarding school. And so I went for another exam for something else. Oh yes, they're not they haven't got aeroplanes here anymore. It's the first aeroplane in Victoria.
Hostess, air hostess.
Air hostess.
You would have made a fabulous air hostess.
And I passed that too, but I would have had to put him in boarding school again. So I couldn't do it. So Mrs. Moore kept saying to me, come and live in. She wanted somebody to help her with the nursery, you see. And I said no. And then I decided, well, I can keep John there and I don't have to pay for him like I did by myself. It was hard work, finding money for everything. So I went to work at Mrs. Moore's and John was there all the time. And the day, you haven't heard about the day Mrs. Moore went overseas and she used to leave me in charge, you see. We had 40 in that nursery and 60 in the other one.
I didn't even know there was two. Keep going.
Yeah. And the girls were coming in to polish the playroom floor. And I said to John and his group of kids that he was playing with, now I want you to go outside and I don't want you to come in again till I call you. Is that clear? And they're all looking at me, yes, Mrs. Jones. Okay. So they all went out. So I went on ordering, seeing what everybody was doing and fixing everything up for lunch. And the door opened. And they all rushed in. And guess who was the first one?
Dad.
John. So I looked at him and I said, what did I tell you? Didn't I tell you not to come in till I called you? He said, yes, Mrs. Jones. And I just started laughing. He didn't even know it was his mother. I was so busy with all the other kids. And I said, I couldn't stop laughing then, I just said, well, go out again. So that was that. And so I was there for 16 years with John.
Is that your favourite job?
It was the longest job I've had, and I loved every minute of it because I loved all the kids. And I used to walk around with one on each hip, thinking I was superwoman. I was skinny as a rabbit, and that's why my back's so bad now. You suffer for the things you shouldn't do.
But you don't know any better.
No, you don't. Well, you think you're strong, you're young, I can count 2 kids. So that was that. And then I'd met Peter 3 years before I went out with him. Up at Eildon. I used to go up to Eildon at weekends with my girlfriend. My boyfriend had a house up there, beautiful place. And we'd go up at Eildon at weekends. And Peter was there. And he used to say to my girlfriend, Flag, do you think Molly would come out with me if I asked her? She said, well, why don't you ask her and see? It took him 3 years to ask her. And it was to a wedding of a mutual friend. So I said, oh, all right, I'll go. Have you the rest of the gang going? The people I used to go with. Yes, they're all going to the wedding. None of them went, actually. But anyway, I went with him. And then he phoned me up to go somewhere else with him or somewhere else with him. And then I booked my trip to go to England because I had a phone call to say, Mum, I had breast cancer. So I went to England for 6 weeks. I went to India first, then I went to Greece. I met Mrs. Moore in both places, enjoyed both places. And then I went to England, and that was the last time I saw Mum, not long after. But before we went, before he took me into Sissy and brought me to sleep. And
So no romantic.
it was very romantic, wasn't it? And he was a nice man. He was kind to me and that sort of.
Oh, he loved you, Diddums.
Anyway, I went to
He was obsessed with you, Grandpapa.
I don't think it was.
No, he would have taken a bullet for you without even thinking.
Anyway, while I was away, John left school.
Yeah.
So when I got back, he was with Peter's meeting me, and he said, "Mum, I've left school." I said, "You've what?" He said, "I've left school." I couldn't study while you weren't here. What a weak reply. I said, "Okay, you go back to school or you do a trade." He said, "Well, I'll do a trade." He thought it would end like that. I found every plumber in Melbourne till I found an apprenticeship. And he hated it, absolutely hated it.
He was the world's hardest plumber.
But he did. Thank goodness that he listened to me. He stayed in it. And since then, that man took him on. And Peter knew that man too. And he said, "Oh, he's a bastard of a man. He's so bad-tempered." Anyway,
No, Dad always tells the story of like, if you could get through 2 weeks working with Dad, you can work anywhere. And he learnt that from that guy. That guy, the first week Dad worked for him, he put him in the backyard of his house, said, "I want you to dig 3 meters deep," and it was like rock hard, "and I want you to dig all the way to the back." And made him dig a big hole, and then he said, "All right, I want you to dig all the way back," and it took him a full week one way, full week the other way, and he said, "I want you to fill it in."
he never
And it was
told
for
me.
no purpose whatsoever, just to see if he could,
was a shocking man.
just to see if he could break his spirit.
Well, that's what Peter said. He's a bastard of a man, bad-tempered. But anyway, John told me later in life, probably since he's had you boys, he said, "Mum, I learned so much from that man." That's what made him a good plumber. And the other thing was, what happened? I'm going to tell you something, and it's going to look fine. Yeah, well, that's what he said to me later in life.
But you were away, and then Dad quit school, then you got him the apprenticeship, and then when you came back, did you and Grandpa get married straight away or no?
We came, yeah, almost straight away booked us in. Yeah, I came back. We got married in the June. I came back in May. So he booked us in already, I think.
So, Grandmama, you've always been pretty healthy. You're 91 and you look 70. You're still racing me to the door and to the car, but how have you stayed fit and healthy your whole life? Like, what's the trick to being
What's the
Grandma?
trick?
Why are you still here? And why are you still alert? Why is your brain still
Working.
Yeah.
Because I play bridge. And
Mind
I'm
games?
not joking about that. I've got a book there on bridge. People in their hundreds are still playing bridge. Because they've used their brain all the time. And with bridge, you have to think so hard, and you have to assess what everyone else is doing so you can play the game. And it does make you think. So
And what
if
about-
it's not bridge, if you play something that uses the brain.
And what about health-wise?
What about what?
Health-wise, I remember coming down to Phillip Island and you were always going on ridiculous. We used to walk every single day.
I've always walked, and I ran. I loved walking. I loved walking in England. I've always been a walker. I love it. And that keeps it. It doesn't keep you perfectly fit because, like a car, parts break down.
Ah, yes.
And that's what's happened with me. You see.
You just replace them, and then they also, the thing that I remember from you, every time you had a surgery or a knee reconstruction, the one thing I always remember when I broke my wrist, I remember that you, every time you had the operation, the doctor would give you exercises,
Yeah.
and then like, if he said do it 3 times a day, you'd be doing it 5 times a day, and all of a sudden we'd be walking again.
You're not wrong. When I knew I was having 2 new knees, because they take your knee out,
Yeah.
new one in. For 3 years, I knew I had to have it done eventually.
I used to, with my wrist, I used to remember you were talking about your exercises, and I used to sit in front of Mum, and I had this weird contraption, and I used to have to turn my hand, and it was so painful that I didn't even make a sound. I just remember tears running down my face, and I'm like, I've got to get it done. But I think I got that from my grandma.
You did. Well, that's what I've always done. And anything that needs treatment, I've had the treatment for it. And I do exactly what they tell me, so...
Yeah, but I do remember growing up, and I mean, we did have treats and, you know, like cakes and stuff, but every single dinner we had meat and pre-veg, and it was the world's biggest plate, but we're always eating healthy. So do you think that's part of it, or you enjoyed the food? Did you do that on purpose, or you just enjoyed food?
I enjoy food. And these people that I sit with at the table, they don't eat veggies, they don't eat peas, they don't eat this, they don't eat that. I eat everything.
Yeah.
And I eat all my veggies. I make a point of eating that because they see me what I just eat what I'm given. They only give you small meals, but they're good meals. Some days they're off, but you know, mostly they're alright. But I think people who don't eat veggies are fools. And especially dark green veggies. And what the doctors don't tell you is what I should have been eating was lots of fish for my eyes. So now I'm eating a lot of fish because I may not have had that lost the sight in that eye if I had known that you have to eat fish for your eyes to function properly. So apparently you should have fish 3 times a week.
I don't like fish, Grandma. I'm not a big fish person.
You don't like fish?
I'm not a big fish person. I like it, but no. I feel like it's all Grandpa's fault.
Is it? Why?
Because he used to tell me that the fish didn't have bones, and I'd always get a stray bone and feel like it was going to choke me. And now I feel like, because we always used to catch the flatheads, bring them home, Grandpa would clean them and cook them, and he's like, I've removed all the bones. And you know, it got to number 5 of eating a little bone, and I'm like, I'm never eating fish again. And now every time it's not the taste, it's not the smell, it's that being unsure that I'm going to get a bone. So it's Grandpa's fault.
I'll tell you something that will make you think again. When the war started, I was 5. And I went to school. I just started school, and my school was bombed. And Liverpool was flattened, and it was night time, it was 3 in the morning, and the sky was red. London was flattened too. And my grandfather, my mother's father, he was in the First World War, he was in the Navy, but he was an air raid war, so they used to come around when we had shelters, air raid shelters, so he used to go around and make sure everyone was comfortable. And he came in and he said to Mum, Joanna, take the 2 kids and get on the truck outside. He said, they're taking you around the country. He said, if you stay here, you're going to be killed. So Mum took us on this truck, and they took us to Wales. The first stop overnight, we stopped at the school. We slept on the floor with grey blankets and a cup of cocoa. I remember that distinctly. I was only 5. Anyway, we reached Wales, and we were sent to a farm. They said you have to stay on that farm until they let you go back to England. So Mum and my brother, he was only 2, and my father was in the Merchant Navy. He was overseas, taking men to different countries. Anyway, people that owned the farm couldn't speak English. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified. Because I got up the next morning, Mum had taken Joe for a walk, and I was there by myself with people who couldn't speak my language.
Yeah.
And I remember in my white nightie running down the road shouting, Mum, Mum! I was terrified. There were people that I didn't know and they couldn't speak English. And I was 5 years of age, and I remember that distinctly. I can see it now as I'm telling you.
But you were eating fish that whole time, were you? Fish was
No, well,
or was it potato?
The thing is that if you didn't have a white ration book, I think it was, you couldn't have meat. So Joe had the white ration book because he was 2. So he had a certain amount of meat in a month. I don't know how much it was. But I lived on fish. I love fish. And I think that's why I've lived so long. Because I ate so much fish.
Yeah, but we're spoiled these days. We've got an abundance of food and we can eat anything and get anything at our fingertips. So
you've never been on a diet for fish, you see?
No, there was times when I was doing the bodybuilding stuff where I only ate fish for 12 weeks and stuff. I've done that crazy things.
Did you enjoy it?
I think I overate it, to be honest, which played into my same with greens.
Who's eating a lot of fish now?
You.
John?
Oh.
Because of that fish shop in New Haven. He said, oh, Mum. He said, that place has got the best fish ever. And so
I mean, good fish. I love a good ceviche. It has to be really good fish. Like, I love sushi. I do.
You're talking about a meal cooked. It's cooked fish.
No.
I'm talking about not raw. I'm talking about a piece of fish like filleted fish cooked.
Yeah, but I like a good piece of fish. I feel like, growing up or...
Well, John buys good fish
now.
And it's funny that the man came to do my feet the other day. What you call them when they do your feet?
Podiatrist?
Podiatrist. And he's got a house on Phillip Island. He was raving about Phillip Island, you see. And he said, oh, I went there the other day. He said that he lives in where you live.
Yep, Mornington.
But he's got a house in Phillip Island. He said, I went to that fish place in New Haven. He said, the fish is magnificent. That's straight off the boat. It's beautiful. So...
Grandmama, can I ask you a little change of subject? Same thing though.
Yeah.
So have you always believed in God? Because I know
all my life.
But was there like a distinctive point where you were like, I know He's real and I'll never doubt Him again?
Never. I just grew up from knowing that I was born through God and that He's always been in my life. And I pray every night of my life. And I love my religion. And it's never let me down.
No,
never.
It's just been reinforced. But there's been challenges in your life.
But that was mapped out. And the older I get, the more I realise that what happened to me was meant to be. On the ship coming out, we reached, I think we were at Port Said, and I got labour pains.
Yeah.
I was 6 months pregnant. And the doctor came to me and the captain, and he said, they'll have to put you ashore. If we don't put you into a hospital, you'll lose the baby. I said, no, I won't. He said, you will. I'm sorry, it's too early. He said, we haven't got the facilities on board for a 6-month-old pregnancy. He said, we'll save your life, but we can't save the babies. Then the captain came by himself and he said, listen to the doctor, you must go ashore. I said, I will not go ashore. I wouldn't sign the papers so they can't take me off the ship. And I said, I'll have to priest, thank you very much. So the priest came down and he was Irish and he was drunk. I've never seen the priest drunk before. And he
But there's been challenging times, I'm sure, in your life. It hasn't all been rose-coloured glasses.
No.
favourite person?
Oh.
Why'd you look up to her? What was so special?
She was a walking saint. She was beautiful. She was so kind in every way. She gave everything she had to everybody. She never kept anything for herself. And she was so sweet always. I never ever knew was a temperament with anybody. And when she got so old, she was sleeping downstairs in the lounge room, on the lounge. And I used to lift her up and sit her on my knee. That's how tiny she was while they made the bed. And I just loved it. It's just something so special about her. I just loved it.
kind of like my love for you, I think. Grandma, you're my favourite person. I don't know what it is about you. You're just like a big ball of heart. A big ball of warmth. I've never known anyone to meet my grandma or be in your presence and be like, oh, I feel worse after being around her.
You feel worse off?
No one ever hangs around with you and feels worse off.
Oh.
Even if you're having a terrible day, you come hang out with grandma and you feel better.
Well, that's lovely, Sean. Thank you for that.
It is, it's
Well,
true.
I love you too. You know that too.
Grandma, if you look back at your life, is there anything you would do different or any advice you'd give to yourself when you were younger? So maybe you'd skip a bit of hardship or...
The only thing I'd change, if I had the opportunity, I would have done my nursing.
Okay.
That's what I want. That's what I was born to do. That's what I'm meant to be. And I've proved that by the fact that I've been with children all those years, and I've always helped elderly people. But I've always felt warm towards them, and it's God telling me that they need help.
But I don't feel like you missed your calling. You've done a lot of things. You've built caravan parks, shops, houses,
After everything
investments, travelled.
Everything I've done, I've enjoyed. And there's nothing in my life I would change except that. And of course, I married John's father, and perhaps I shouldn't have married him. I wasn't the right person for him. You know, he needed somebody. He had so many problems. And I feel sorry for him because he was in the war. He joined up when he was 16. He lied about his age. He went through so many things. Damaged his brain.
Yeah.
And he was one of 10 children. And I don't think he ever felt loved. So I think he had a big problem that he didn't know how to solve. And when he drank, he was a different person again. He was bad. And I knew that wasn't going to change. And I couldn't live John up in that atmosphere. I remember when he threw me down the hall one day, and John was about 2.5 or 3. And he said, "Don't you hear my mummy?" John wouldn't remember this. And I thought, I can't live in this house with this man, because this is going to affect John. So that's when I got out. He didn't know where I was. Didn't know where either of us was. And then when he found out, his solicitor got in touch with my solicitor and said he's got a right to see the boy. I said, okay. I said, well, if he gets a right to see the boy, he thinks he's got a right to see me. And I'm not going to see him. I don't want him to have any privilege towards me. So I said I want a divorce. So I got a divorce. And he was supposed to pay for that, and I paid for it all myself. I knew I wasn't meant to live with him. And then he married another. I've forgotten her name. She was a lovely person. But he treated her the same way. He had a problem with himself. And alcohol didn't help him. And I never told John anything about him.
But then you got Grandpa.
Grandpa was alright. He was a good man.
He was. He was very pragmatic though.
And it was the best thing that happened to him because he had 2 boys. He could then boast he was a grandfather. And he did. It made a lot of difference to Peter. But he had problems too. He was born into a very wealthy family who really didn't show each other much love, I don't think. I don't think that any of them showed.
No, I think Grandpa, only towards the end did he sort of start wearing his heart on his sleeve. Before that, it was like you had to sort of pry anything out of him.
He's a complex person. But
He's also very, very smart.
Very smart. Loved his church. Loved Father Cusack. Actually said the Mass of Father Cusack just about. Father Cusack used to just sit in the chair
going to the Bass Church with Grandpa on a
Yes,
Sunday.
He loved that church. He loved that church. But he loved what he was there. And he used to take him to our friends who they were tailors, Italian people. He used to take him there to get suits made for him and everything. He probably paid for a lot of clothes for himself. I never knew what he did, but I didn't care.
Grandma, if you could tell the world one thing, like if you could have a billboard that everyone in the world could see, what would it say? Like one sentence that you could say to anyone and everyone.
One sentence to people in the world. Be happy with your life. Make it work, and try to make people's life happy too. If you go into something and you think, oh my God, what am I doing here? Do something about it. Make it so that it makes you happy in the end. Like if you take a job and it's very hard, either leave it and get something else, or make it work so that it works for you. Don't just give things up just because they don't suit you at that moment. Try and make things work.
Yeah, but what you've said to me before is on that same wavelength. Anything you do it to the best of your ability, and it gives you the opportunity for the next thing. So it might be cleaning toilets, but you might clean the toilet for someone who's, I don't know, something that you love doing, and then it leads to the next.
And if you can do anything for anyone to make their life better, do it.
Yeah, but you've done
As long as
everything,
they're not going to
Grandma.
make your life.
You ran hotels, you built caravan parks, you know.
I've done everything. I've enjoyed everything I've ever done. And Peter hated the caravan park in San Remo. He didn't want to know about it, so he didn't come over. I did the caravan park, and I used to play bridge on it. So I thought, what can I do while I'm there all day at the caravan park? So we had a little office. I put the caravan behind the office, and we used to play bridge in the caravan. And then when people came, I just went into the office. You have to make things happen if you want to be happy. You have to work at it. Not just going to jump on it and do it for you. You must work on things.
Yeah.
And if you can do it, do it. And if you can't change it, make it so that you are happy some other way. Or help somebody. Sometimes if you help someone, they can make it happen. It's just common sense, actually. But I find the people who are born with everything and really never want for anything, as not as happy as I've been, because I've achieved things and that's made me happy. And you see, Peter was born into big money, and I don't think enough love was shown. And I don't think he ever really needed for anything much. And that's why he was such a start in life. When he found his religion, that's when he was happy.
Yeah, I can see that in Grandpa, but I feel like Grandpa, if he did anything, he did it with 100% focus and well, but sometimes it felt like,
Just overdoing it.
yeah, like I think Dad got a bit of that. Dad does 110 things at 95%,
He gave,
and then
he gave John a bad time when we just got married.
And then when Dad's passed some of that along to us, Luke is very much like Dad, does 100 things 95%, and then I feel like I'm a bit more like Grandpa. If I pick up something, I struggle to put it down. If I say, so like if I start running, I have to run every day. Like I don't know how to do things a little bit. I feel like that's Grandpa. Like if he was going to build mowers, he'd build 100 mowers. If he was going to, I don't know, ride bikes,
If you
he'd
say
be
I'm
riding.
going to do it, I'm done.
Yeah, it's done. It's done. I'm doing it, and I'm never not doing it.
I'll do it properly.
Yeah. So I feel like I struggle to put that down, and that's kind of through
Well,
Grandpa
Grandpa-
and Dad, and
Grandpa loved you. He had a special spot for you. Because maybe he could see himself in you. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're funny, aren't we? We're all different.
We are, but he was meant to be. I was meant to be in his family and your family, and he was meant to be in our lives.
You were meant to be my grandson. John was meant to live, even though everyone said he'd die because he was going to be born too soon. He was my only child, and then he started to go with Trish, and she couldn't have children. And John said to me, "What do you think, Mum?" I said, "John, this is your life. If you're happy, I'm happy. This is meant to be." And we got you children. How lucky were we?
But Grandma, okay, you're religious, you've always had God. Grandpa was religious and always had God. We were raised religious and always had God. But Mum and Dad, if you start talking about God, they change the subject. Why do you think that is? What happened?
I don't know what happened, but I'll tell you one thing. John's got God.
No, it was... Okay, can I tell you something? So, Natalia and Dad met, and when he was sick, and they met, they had a coffee, and Natalia was, getting emotional, and she's like, "Dad, I just want to know that you're going to heaven." And he said, "Natalia, I'll stop you right there. I know that I'm going to heaven."
John said,
Yeah, he said, "I know that I'm going to heaven. I don't need you to pray for me and do all this kind of stuff." And I get that, but if you bring up God, he gets uncomfortable.
he doesn't like to talk about, John doesn't like to talk about a lot of things, not just God.
Yeah, I suppose.
And so, if he shuts you up, doesn't mean he doesn't believe it or think about it. God's in John. And I know
Well,
that.
he's in us all, even if we don't accept it yet.
Yeah, but I know he knows it. I know John knows it. And in school, when he was little, when he was in Sandringham school, the nun there, I've forgotten her name, but she wouldn't leave the school. She was that old. And when I'd go up to see, on Parents' Day, John, she'd go, that face of an angel, but he's a villain. And he laughed, he always laughed, and she made him laugh because he was so naughty to her. But God, John's got God, don't worry about it, I know he's got it. I pray every night to God for John. But he doesn't like you talking about things, does he?
No.
It's not just God, there's lots of things he
It's
doesn't
not
like
just
to
God, you did say that, and I do agree with that, but it's like...
But why doesn't Trish belong to him? I don't know about Trish.
I don't know, I feel like Mum and Dad have their own things. I just thought you might have like your own little grandma insight into it, of what might have happened while I wasn't around. But I feel like Mum's might come from her dad, and Dad might come from his dad, of why they're not as open with it. But I don't see, for me, there's no other explanation how, one, I'm not dead. God could have easily said to my mum to have an abortion, but she decided to adopt me. That's a miracle in itself.
She believes in her faith.
No, but that's a miracle in itself. And then the miracle is that I'm not with my mum, and I'm placed in Mum and Dad's family with you. And like, I did that silly heritage test. But we're from the same thing. I feel like you were my grandma before you were my grandma. I don't know how to explain that. But I feel like Dad and Mum are like the perfect fit to who I was and who I was meant to be and what I was meant to learn. And only God could do that. Only God could make sense of it.
Well, if you feel that you've got that much faith in God, you're lucky. Because not everybody has. Some people use God sometimes. You've either got him permanently, as far as I'm concerned. He's either with you always or he's not.
I think growing up it was always like, you're in a car crash or you get drunk and you feel
joyful grin. Ego knit, our hearts unite. Founders of love shining bright. We're Team Weird, and that's all